Live, the Target 12 investigators have new details on the bridge breakdown. A lawsuit has now been filed against 13 companies related to the failure of the Washington Bridge. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Kalunian.
And I'm Shannon Heggie. The long-awaited action comes nearly 250 days since the westbound side was shut down in December.
Target 12 investigator Kate Wilkinson is live at the bridge with the details. Kate?
The 44-page complaint details the issues that the bridge they found, saying that these companies were negligent in their handling of it. Attorney General Pete Noronha says this is about holding those companies accountable that he says failed to find the problems with the bridge years ago. The long-awaited lawsuit now shedding light on who the state blames for the failure of the westbound side of the Washington Bridge.
The day of reckoning is beginning.
It comes 4 months after Governor Dan McKee hired outside attorneys to pursue legal action, eventually collaborating with Attorney General Peter Noronha. The complaint filed in Superior Court Friday shows a report found signs of the bridge deteriorating in 1992. The lawsuit identifies 13 companies that have worked on the bridge over the last 10 years, including AECOM, Aetna Bridge Company, as well as Barletta. Attorney General Peter Noronha says the companies should have realized they were dealing with an incredibly unique bridge when inspecting and maintaining it.
And there were aspects to it that needed to be taken into account when they were providing those services. It did not provide them in the way that they should have.
In a statement to Target 12, a spokesperson for Aetna, one of the defendants, wrote, "We stand behind the quality of our past work and the work we will perform in the future." The lawsuit alleges from 2015 to 2023, when the bridge was closed, multiple companies failed to identify significant failures, including so-called tie-down rods in repeated inspections. The complaint states, quote, "None of the firms that conducted the inspections adequately recognized or addressed critical elements of the bridge's structural safety and integrity." Noronha says it's unclear how much money they hope to recover.
So my focus right now is to recover what we can that was prior to December 11th, and to make sure that we get back to a normal traffic flow. Now, some of the companies have active contracts with the state. New at 6, I'll have what Attorney General Peter Noronha is saying, that especially one of those contracts, in fact, is to demolish the bridge right here. Live in East Providence with the Target 12 investigators, Kate Wilkinson, 12 News.
The Target 12 investigators with new details in the bridge breakdown. Today, the state filed a lawsuit against 13 companies, accusing them of negligence and breach of contract in the Washington Bridge failure. I'm Shannon Heggie.
And I'm Kim Kalunian. Target 12 investigator Kate Wilkinson is live in East Providence. And Kate, some of the companies named in this lawsuit currently have contracts with the state?
Yeah, 4 of the companies that were named in that lawsuit have active contracts related to the Washington Bridge, including Aetna, which the state picked to tear it down. Fencing set up along the Washington Bridge, just one of the latest signs that construction workers are getting closer to demolishing the westbound side. Meantime, Governor Dan McKee says a civil suit for the bridge failure has been filed.
The day of reckoning is beginning.
The complaint filed in Superior Court Friday reveals problems with the westbound side of the bridge were reported as far back as 1992. Attorney General Peter Noronha accuses 13 companies that inspected or worked on the bridge between 2015 and 2023 of being negligent in how they maintained and monitored it.
We hired these companies for their expertise. We depend on them to provide their expertise. And when they don't do it, we try to hold them accountable.
But 4 companies named in the lawsuit have contracts with the state to work on the Washington Bridge: AECOM, VHB, MBI, and Aetna. Target 12 asked Noronha what this means for those companies.
I really can't talk about that. You know, if the point of your question is we'll never find anyone to build a bridge, I don't think that's very likely.
In response to the lawsuit, a spokesperson for Aetna wrote, "We stand behind the quality of all our past work and the work we will perform in the future." Some of the companies that were not named in this lawsuit include Carty Corporation, as well as the company that did that 1992 report, as well as the company that built the bridge in the first place. Noronha did not say and would not comment on whether or not additional lawsuits would be filed. Live in East Providence with the Target 12 investigators, Kate Wilkinson, 12 News.